Welcome in, everybody, to the Box Score Network. I am Ben Parker. That is Austin Freed. We really appreciate you being on board with us tonight. We are working our way through some of the defensive players for the 2026 NFL Draft. Of course, Rueben Bain is at the very top of that potential list. I'll put it that way, out of guys that could get very highly drafted. So we appreciate you being a part of this tonight. We're missing Shane tonight. I feel like he's probably having some technical difficulties, so me and Austin are going to hold down the fort the best we can. If he jumps in here, great. If not, oh well. Austin, how you doing tonight, man?
Doing great. Excited to be here. We're talking about some real blue chip names today, which is always
Yeah.
fun to talk about. These guys who are going to go really high in the draft.
Yes, absolutely. So, and to all of you in the audience out there, what we're trying to do here, because again, this is early, right? This is draft still a long ways off. We try to set a great foundation for what this player can do. We'll add in our thoughts about how good we think they are, but that is subject to change. And I know a lot of you that watch this kind of stuff, you're doing your own work as well. So what's great about it is it's just nice to hear two or three different opinions on it and then add that to the work that you guys are already doing out there in the audience. And in some cases, some of you are just looking around for players for your team. So feel free to just add what we're doing to what you're doing, and we'll just keep enjoying it together. All right, Austin, Ruben Bain is 6'3", 275. Go ahead and tell us what you see there.
Ooh, yeah, this is a big boy, especially for what he does playing on the outside primarily, coming off the edge. And he is a lot to handle for the college level tackles and even, the Division One Power Five really powerhouse teams that he's gone up against. Sometimes playing in the ACC, he's going up against some big boys out there on the outside, but he has made a lot of them look small in comparison. And he uses that big frame of his to really strike fear into tackles with his speed to power. He comes at you hot, and then he just kind of keeps it going. He has a really good like cross chop move that'll hit you with. I don't think he has a tremendous amount of bend, but he has enough bend to still have success. He doesn't have the most refined, like he doesn't have like a go-to move, I don't think, besides just a straight up bull rush. But he doesn't have a signature move that he kind of breaks out and does all the time and has a tremendous amount of success with. But he does have a plethora of things that he has found success with, which I think is even more important, than having just one super dominant move, being able to use a lot of different moves to find success, especially with someone who I think will have success playing all over the line, moving, in and out as down and distance dictate because he is a tremendous run stuffer. He's not just a third down, get him out there to rush the passer type guy. He is a guy you can put him on the inside and let him try and stop the run on first and second down, and he will do it as well as, you know, in college, as well as a lot of the defensive tackles that would be
Yeah.
doing that. But, in the NFL, you're he's likely not going to have that level of success, but he can be on the field and he can get it done, and you don't have to worry about him being a liability in the run game, which is very important these days. I think being able to have success, especially with all these different defensive coordinators who like to rotate players and keep legs fresh. He is the type of guy who can give other people breaks by staying on the field himself and moving to different roles. So I think he's going to be a really high draft pick. He's clearly a top three defensive lineman in this class, and I'm talking about any position on the line you want to talk about. I think he's top three. So likely going to be going inside the top 10 unless, injury or really poor testing, which I don't think we're going to see. I don't think he's going to be some sort of uh, monster who tests off the charts, but I think he's going to test really solid at the combine and kind of cement himself as a top 10 draft pick.
All right, I love it. I agree with it, just about everything you just said, and I'm going to read my notes here in a second, but part of it will overlap a lot of what you just said, and we'll come back to you here for your second turn here, and you can give us a player comp as well here in just a minute. All right, I got a bunch of notes, so here we go, everybody. Strength and power. His whole game is built off of that. Strength and power. Strength and power. That is his whole game built off of. He's got some other things, but that's the thing. You mentioned that. He does go back and forth between both defensive end spots, so he can play either end. Some guys don't like to do that. He's fine with it. Either end spot, you can move him around, no problem. He wins off the edge a lot. There is some speed involved in that, but it's heavy power and it's a mix of moves. You said that. It is not a speed based game. He is not without speed. He has some speed there, but it is power based and it is, like you said, a plethora of moves. So that really is his game. He's very good at it. He is a force. There is some speed there, but he's not ripping you with speed. Some of the moves: swim move, rip move, shoulder dip, saw all of that. And again, you're right. He doesn't have seemingly a go-to. I didn't see a consistent go-to, but boy, just he's using this different move. So I like that. Also seems to have a great sense of leverage. It seems like when the other guy is leaning on him, simple hand swats just knock the other guy off balance. He really seems to be able to time his hand swats to know when the other guy is trying to kind of match power and is leaning a little bit too much. I've noticed the hand swats just very simple. I love that. He's also fast enough to do twists and stunts, and that is important, right? You want to at least be able to know I can twist or stunt with this guy and him get home, and he can do that. Again, not blazing speed, but he's got enough speed to do that. Always seems to know where the play is going. Very savvy, very good at reading the action. So I like that. Seems like he's a very smart guy. Just really seems to have a great head for where the play is going. Strong. I did notice strong offensive tackles with long arms and good balance can actually fend him off effectively. I did see that. If you are a good offensive lineman, strong, and you have the long arms, I did see that there were times, like in the Florida game this year, where they could fend him off without him just running right over them. So again, there's not many of those, but sometimes the long arm guys who have the good strength can kind of fend him off. He almost never gets redirected. He consistently heads toward his target, very relentless. You just don't see him getting pushed off in some other direction. The direction he wants to go, that's wherever his momentum and power are going, he's going to keep getting in that direction. You're just not going to see him get redirected too much. Does not seem to get off the line particularly quick, and does not seem to have elite explosion in that first step. I did notice, when you got four defensive linemen and five offensive linemen, he's usually one of the last of those nine players to get started once the ball is snapped. He's usually the seventh, eighth, ninth guy. And while he is explosive, it's not so much in that first step. A lot of edge rushers, pass rushers can just flat out beat you with the first step. I'm not seeing that from him. He's very explosive, but a lot of that shows up in second, third step, the power and strength and the acceleration. But that first step is not particularly explosive. He sets the edge very well. You mentioned it. He is good against the run, very good, but not elite. There are guys in the drafts, previous drafts, who have been elite run defenders. I don't see him being that, but he is absolutely a staunch run defender, very much a handful. You're going to have a lot of problems trying to run the football around him. I really like that. Is really not fast enough to consistently get out to the flat to make plays on screens or H-back tosses. It's really not his game, and that's fine. A lot of edges don't, but there are edges that you look at and you say, hey, I can get out to the boundary. I can make a play on a screen. I can make a play on that running back pitch. Not going to see that from him. Again, bigger player, power guy. You're just not going to see a lot of that consistently out of him. Probably about four more notes here. Didn't see a lot of batted balls. He tends to play low anyway. He's not super tall. He's not super tall. He does not seem to have particularly long arms, and he already plays low. So I didn't see a lot of batted balls like you'll see from a lot of defensive linemen, which that's fine. I'm not super worried about that, but that is something that some guys can do. I just didn't see a lot of that from him. He is physically dominant, often with simple bull rushes, and usually wins the hand battles. He loves his bull rush. I mean, that's just all there is to it. Sometimes, matter of fact, a lot of times he's just winning with straight bull rushes. He doesn't have to introduce moves or hand slaps in a lot of cases because he's just winning with the bull rush, and that's totally fine. I am thrilled with that. Gets double teamed a lot by everybody. Offenses are really worried about him. You see him constantly facing double teams, and that is usually the number one indicator of how worried teams are about you, is how much attention they're giving to you. He gets a lot. Sometimes he just slings or pushes guys out of his way. And I've noticed that he can play a 4 point stance or standing up. He can actually play standing up too. So, depending on what he needs to do, that was a good mix of 24 tape and 25 tape that I watched. So that's really not built off of either season. That's built off of both seasons there. So that is Ruben Bain. Excuse me. I've got him top 10. I think I've got him top five. I don't have that locked in yet, but I'm very interested in him. Way high up the draft. I really love this guy. Austin, second round for you, man.
Yeah, so I was pretty struck when was watching his tape, and I just kept seeing flashbacks. And not necessarily the best flashbacks. I mean, they're good when you consider the guy I'm talking about was picked third overall. But I kept seeing it, and it's kind of uncanny to me how much he resembles Solomon Thomas,
Wow.
who
Yeah.
went third overall and didn't necessarily have, I mean, he's still playing football. He was drafted in 2017. Like he's going to put together a 10-year career probably. So
Right.
obviously not a bust, but never quite lived up to the expectations because he was a tweener. And that is what I'm worried about with Ruben Bain is you know, he's so dominant against these college level tackles, but when he matches up against pro level offensive lines, he doesn't have the longest arms. I'm totally with
Right.
you there. And he
Right.
doesn't have the most elite levels of speed. I'm totally with you there.
Hmm.
And his strength, while really, really good, just, these guys who base their entire, base off of just power can have success, but they have usually really long arms or something to go with it that let them have success, and he just doesn't have that. And so I'm worried about how his game translates, how he's going to be used. Do they try to, because you could definitely ask him to put on some more pounds and just play three tech. Like you
Right.
could absolutely ask him to do that. And maybe he turns into a monster doing that. I think that, if I'm remembering correctly, I didn't watch a whole lot of 49ers back in the late 2010s, but I believe that's kind of what Solomon Thomas was doing. I believe he put on a few pounds and they moved him and he was playing a lot of like 4i, if I'm recalling correctly. And I don't know if that's what teams want him to do. He could also lighten up and then play more traditional edge, and maybe he gets a little more explosive and
Right.
speed off the edge and bend, in which case he could turn into a monster. But at his current weight and size and ability, I'm a little bit worried about how teams decide to deploy him or if he stays at this exact size, how his athletic ability plays against this higher level of competition that is the NFL. So I'm worried about that. And it's honestly scared me out of taking him in the top five unless, I was a team who knew exactly what I wanted to do with him and had this perfect vision of it. And, obviously in draft talks, had the conversations with him and he knew that's what we wanted and was on board with it. In that case, maybe I can make an argument, but as a third party outsider, I probably have him somewhere between 5 and 10.
And I think that's all fair. Like I emotionally, I'm with you on all of that. I think every bit of that, the concern, the worry, however you want to phrase it, right? Because I love Ruben Bain. I love what I see on tape, but I don't necessarily think this is, an all pro lock. I don't see that level of explosion, length, speed, all of that. So again, we're back to strength and power, but he's 275. He's not 300, right? So, he's not 280. He'd get to 280, but he's not up in the 290, 300 range. So I really love what I see. I'm thrilled to draft him top 10, but I'm not as high on him as a few people I've seen out there where they're just like best guy in the draft. This
Yeah.
guy's, future Hall of Fame block kind of stuff. I'm not there. So I think everything that you just said there, yeah, I totally agree with. All right. Any final closing notes here on Ruben Bain?
No, just really like the player. And I don't think either of us mentioned really high motor.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and I think, he's really fun to watch just because he just is really tenacious and gets after it.
I agree. I always hesitate to say high motor because a lot of times that's for guys that are less talented. They're making up for it. Not true with him. He's got the talent. he also has the motor. You don't see him backing off of plays that he thinks he can't get to or kind of slowing down when he thinks, hey, maybe, my part of this play. No, he's all in all the time, every bit, and he's got the talent to push for that as well. Okay, so thank you everybody for listening. We will put out much more here. This is the Box Score Network. That is Austin Freed. I am Ben Parker. Have a great one. Goodbye.